Hey everyone, this is Michelle Landry, and you have tuned in to Health Coach Impact, the show that spotlights health coaches from all over and all different walks and niches. So today we are speaking with and having an awesome conversation with Lori Nolan. She is a newer health coach, graduated from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in 2017. She lives in upstate New York, and we're just going to go right into this conversation. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi. It's so
Hello.
great to have you here. I am so excited for everyone to hear your story and to get to know who you are. So why don't we just jump right into it and let everyone know who you are, what got you into health coaching, and I'm just gonna let you go for it.
Let me go for it. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I think it's so awesome when health coaches connect. People are still trying to understand what it is that we do and who we are. And so when we can get together and talk about all that, it's really powerful. So how I got here, my background was always in wellness and fitness. I was a personal trainer for many, many years. Great. It's as you and I both know that's just one little piece of the pie, right? So I kind of always knew in my heart and in the background there was so much more. Sidebar all that, I come from a family business, which is financial services. So I spent 15 plus years in financial services and, always had that love of fitness and wellness. So about 7-8 years ago, I decided to leave that corporate job, even though it was my family background. And my intention was to start a wellness center for women. And I wanted to incorporate some different modalities of naturopath medicine and a personal training. And, I didn't know then what I even know now. So it was a blessing that didn't even really come to fruition, if you will, because I've learned so much more. So kind of fast forwarding the last few years, I learned about Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and I decided to take the leap, and I enrolled, where I studied like you under many awesome teachers. And I just knew that bringing the whole wellness pieces together, fitness and spiritual practice and relationships and, career, understanding how all of that impacted people's lives, just was so fascinating to me. And I knew that I wanted to give back and share and serve and help in whatever way I could. So I did that. And I graduated a year ago. So I started health coaching and seeing people just here and there and everywhere, and decided to take the leap. And I have a physical location now. I'm inside of a somewhat moderate wellness studio, but I have my own practice inside of there. So that was a big jump for me to have that physical location. So that was fun. So that's what I'm doing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what was the big burning desire for you to actually not go into exactly what you were dreaming and envisioning of, but actually go into health coaching? What was that burning desire? What was that catalyst that really, really pulled you into health coaching? And so what was behind all that?
I think it was the last job that I had. In between school and leaving my financial services career, I'm like, well, what am I going to do with myself? I'm not opening this wellness center. It just didn't feel right. Lots of details. But anyway, I had an awful job. And that was, I was in fitness and I was managing a fitness studio. I opened it up, and it just, I can't even describe it, but something just said, you need to go back to school. There's so much more that you can do besides this piece. So I don't know if there was one burning desire, but it was, call it a voice, call it God, call it whatever, that's what I do. I ask for direction and I get it.
Right, right. So what type of clients really hone into what you do? Would you say it's more of weight loss or lifestyle, or who is it that tends to be more attracted to what you're offering?
I've gotten an array of people. I wouldn't label myself the weight loss expert. I think if people start eating well and incorporating some physical activity, and they get a hold of some of the other pieces of their life and stress management and things of that nature, weight loss just becomes a natural byproduct. So one of the things I do is that I just empower my clients to kind of make some better choices, and they don't really realize that they even have options and choices. So just to take back their health, their well-being, whether it's weight loss, reversing some chronic issue they have, taking that deep dive into their life. So, but it seems that my bend lately has been toward neurologic. And I get a lot of folks that want to, avoid medication and or get off medication.
Right.
So that kind of seems to be my niche that is kind of coming to me, and I'm kind of been working with.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. Now, as a newer health coach, I know a lot of health coaching. I've been health coaching for a while, and I graduated from IIN in 2012, but I was doing corporate health coaching before that. So as a newer health coach, you're in a great position to kind of guide newer health coaches as to what the big question is. When I'm doing business coaching with these health coaches, they're like, well, I want to help everybody. I want to, and that's all well and good. And what we do have to say is, yeah, everyone needs a health coach. Who is going to be attracted to you is a totally different, totally different conversation. So how do you feel that when you got out of IIN, that you started to kind of hone in onto those different things? I know in a past conversation that we had between the two of us, you were talking about how you're starting to brand yourself, and you're really starting to, really hone in on that. Can you kind of walk us through a little bit how that process has been for you?
Yeah, great question. So that was probably one of the, besides getting a physical location, we all do the little things. We find a little logo, and we get some business cards and all that stuff. But then, after a year at this, I said, all right, I joined some women's networks, and I came across a great person. She owns her own business here, and she's a branding specialist. And if anybody doesn't know what branding is, it's like really pulling out the essence of who you are, what your business does. And that really helped me define, I don't want to, I guess for lack of a better word, find my niche, because yes, as health coaches, we want to just help everybody. Oh, sure, I'll help anybody that comes in my door.
Right.
But after you do this long enough, you realize that, you can't, you are really good at certain things and helping a certain, sector of folks. And I don't have a problem referring out to other health coaches. As a matter of fact, I advocate to meet as many health coaches as you possibly can. Matter of fact, I have a meeting tomorrow with another IIN grad tomorrow. He found me on LinkedIn, and I just had a meeting 2 days ago with another local health coach, and we collaborate together, which is great. We're not competing. But yes, branding and finding out who I was and what my company really wanted to offer, that helped tremendously. So if anybody has that opportunity to do that, do that.
Right. And that is a really good point to give new health coaches is once you get out on your own, after you've graduated, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out to other people in other areas that have more expertise in different things. And, there are lots of different branding experts on a lot of different platforms that you can have a 30-minute conversation with and be able to get that information. And I love how you have taken that and also incorporated that with collaborating with other health coaches, because another thing that we tend to have a little bit, I think it's human nature, is that competitiveness. And it's not like that when it comes to health coaching. We all do have our own special part. And there's so many different people out there that, we know what we were taught at IIN. We know all the different things that have been, given and such. But when it comes down to it, it's our experiences and the relationships that we build with those people in order to establish who's actually going to be coming to us.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all do something a little bit different. We're all under the health coaching umbrella, I believe, but the folks that I've come in contact with and even talked to, like on Facebook and other IIN alumni, we all tend to run our business different. We're probably all in the similar groups and we ask questions and whatnot. And I love that there's asking and answering, from seasoned health coaches like you, to newer ones. I'm pretty new-ish, not a total newbie, but, I'm still designing what our practice is going to look like, so it is wonderful. It's good.
Right. And it evolves over time. I don't know how many times I've rebranded myself. So it evolves over time. And I look at it as it's a scope of my entire business. It's not just these little tiny pieces. Everything all works together, and it's a body of work. It's a complete body of work, and you have to have all the different parts, but at the same time, I should say, not but, and at the same time, you have that experience from all the different things that you've done in the past. So I'd like to be able to find out from you, because you said that you were a personal trainer and, it's kind of evolved in that. What really got you into just the health and wellness field in general?
Well, I kind of was born into it, I guess. I was one of those kids. My mom never gave me sugar. I'm thankful to this day. She gave me little boxes of Sun-Maid raisins and said that was candy, so I never had that issue. So my mom was always, she was making me very conscious of, I was reading food labels when I was 9, looking at sugar grams, and then her mother, my grandmother, constantly, organic and grew her own vegetables. And, I was eating papaya tablets for upset stomach when I was a little kid. So, I mean, I kind of come from that, so it was just in me. Take your supplements, vitamin D, vitamin C, got to have it. So I was always kind of exposed to it, I guess. And it just kind of grew from there.
That's fascinating, because there's so many, you are the rarity in,
I am.
in society. You're very, very rare. So, how have you been able to utilize that? How has it been that seeing how other people are not from that, how have you been able to just kind of impart your experiences and such to them?
Well, it's hard when you can't relate, I think generally speaking, now I'm Italian, so I mean, we love food and, so that's, it's all centered around food. But aside from that, I see that the majority of people have major sugar addictions and, which is so sad. I can't relate because I don't have that, but I think it starts so young in life. And I see folks out there, food is a reward. if I just do this, well, then you can have an ice cream. If you just do this, you can have a candy bar, you know? So kind of working backwards from that. And I have to just be cognizant all the time and thankful at the same time that I didn't have that. But now, speaking of like potato chips and salt, I mean, that could be a whole nother story because I'm the carb junkie with the salt. But yeah, it's great that I don't have that, but I can still connect with them on that, you know, understanding of what's going on out there in the world. And I am a rarity, and I am super thankful and blessed.
Right. Exactly. And I think where your position is and a strength for you is this has been your lifestyle. So it proves that it can be done. And
Yes.
it proves that, you know, it can be started from a very early age. I know I've had clients that I've worked with their children, or I've worked with their whole families, and they're like, oh, well, my kids won't eat that. Oh, well, my kids won't do that. It's like, no, there's nothing else in your fridge, and there's nothing else in your freezer, or there's nothing else in your cupboard. Your children will learn, and it's a matter of cultivating that atmosphere in the home also, and not looking at it as a punishment, but as a lifestyle.
Yes. Yeah. I'm working with two teenagers right now, a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old, and the 14-year-old girl, it's interesting because her family is starting to, she wanted these changes. And as a byproduct, her dad, who's the primary cook, is now losing some weight and getting healthy because she's like, Dad, I need to get healthy. I need to be well. And so, yes, it is the trickle effect. And yes, it can be done. And, you know, people, they say the same thing to me. Oh, my kids will never eat that way. I'm like, well, who's the boss? You or your kids? Who buys the groceries? You or your kids? So if you're buying the groceries and you're making a meal, well, then either, you know, you know, not to be harsh, but it is a learned behavior, you know, and even as adults, we have to, and I've recently gone through a different eating style myself too. So I've had to relearn some things, and it's discipline-ish, but then it's enjoyable. And when the result is feeling good and being well, and then if you can get to I don't mind the way I look, you know, the look is always last, but it's the feeling well. Oh my gosh, you know, you would do anything to achieve that.
Right.
I believe, you know?
Exactly. So what type of programs do you put together for your clients? Do you stick with the 6-month program, or have you kind of morphed into your own type of?
I laugh because, I mean, that's been on my mind lately. And I'm like, I don't know if the 6-month, I think it's appropriate for a lot of people. You know, if there's a multiple, and it's kind of like a Pandora's box. Once you start meeting with people, then things start, you know, they don't disclose things until maybe like 2 or 3 or 4 months into something, you know, and I've had that happen. But you know, doing an initial consult, like the majority of us do, if people are pretty forthright, you know, there might be, I could work with somebody for 3 months and then see how phase 1 goes. And then, so yes, I'm actually in the process of, I've changed my pricing. I have changed my, you know, my structure. A lot of things are bouncing around in my head as to, you know, how to structure the practice with people. And everybody is so different, and they have such different needs that I think it'd be, I think it's appropriate to have different offerings, I guess. So that's what I've been kind of, you know, going through in my mind, how that's going to look.
Yeah. And it is a process. It is. And even, excuse me, even right now, with how I've been health coaching for such a long time, but I'm constantly tweaking those things. You know, it's a living, breathing entity in itself, your coaching practice. And I think that's one thing that newer health coaches can glean from, especially from you, is that you've taken that 6-month program, but then you started tweaking it, and you start really feeling what your clients need and what it is that that is best for them. And that's where, you know, how we're taught bio-individuality. Well, it's also with our programs, you know. So
Right, correct. Yes.
so structured, not being so just one focused, one-minded, and having those different layers or those different tiers that people can get your information, be able to be a client, be able to kind of test it and see if that's what they want. And then you pretty soon you'll have a client that's been with you for 2, 3, 4 years, because they're always doing something a little bit different, you know. So
yeah, and that's a great point too. So, you know, just there's bio individuality in our practice, and you have to treat it as such. So I've lost people. I've lost some, you know, done some initial consults, and I don't know if it was the price or if it was the program. So I think it was mostly the price, but I think anybody would say, you know, I can't afford that. And my answer to that is we all afford what we want to afford. And that, you know, I mean, truly, I could sit there and look at their brand new iPhone and say, but, you know, so I'm no one's judge on how they spend their money and what they put value on. But, you know, it kind of makes me think in the back of my mind, maybe it's the program length. You know, and I've had some feedback, and, you know, a couple of friends have said, well, why don't you offer 3 months? Or why don't you just do a month by month with some folks? And so I'm entertaining that. I don't think there's one right or wrong way to do this health coaching. I really think that, like you said, it's a living, breathing entity. It's going to take on a life of its own, and you have to just let it grow and be, and pay attention to what's working and what's not.
Exactly. And I mean, I have clients or prospects that I'll sit down with, and I'm like, what is it that you're really wanting? What is it that you really want to see? And some of them are just like, I just want to see, because I'm also a nutritionist. Some of them are just like, I just want to know exactly what it is that I need to do. Well, that's a big Pandora's box. But, you know, some people just want to meet with you twice. Okay. You know, and you'd never know where that's going to go, because they may meet with you twice, and then 3 months down the line, they're like, you know what, I really want to, I think I need to have a little bit more. But it's planting each of those seeds that is going to start gradually bringing the clients in at a more regular, you know, sustainable rate. And having those different programs set, giving them choices, you know, a 2-week program, a month program, 3-month program, 6-month program, whatever, but really sitting down with the client and finding out what their need is and what their vision is at that point, and, you know, giving them a little bit more choices. And the other thing that I noticed is with clients that are, or prospects that I've lost, I look at it as, well, it's not their time. It's just the time is right for them. And it's not for me to judge. Like you were saying, it's not for us to judge. And it's for us to give as much as we can, you know, in a relative form, and be there for them at that particular moment in time, because we don't really know where that's going to go.
Right. Very, very true.
Exactly.
So a no today might be a yes down the line. So you just keep it open.
Yeah. And I've also had where they may say no, but they have 2 other friends that they go and talk to, and they're like, oh, I really had this really wonderful conversation. You should really talk to her. And I get a client that way. So you just never know where those conversations are going to go. But as long as you keep yourself open to it, and you know that you are pursuing your passion, you're pursuing what it was that you're meant to do, and stay focused in that, and not, as the word say, don't get weary in well doing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Because in just the right time, the harvest will be.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I just think networking is super, super important. I wouldn't deem myself as like one of those online Facebook coaches, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great platform. I'm more of I think it's maybe my background in financial services. I was always out there networking. So network. I mean, talk to as many people as you can, go to as many events as you can, reach out on LinkedIn to people. You know, I'm fortunate to know a local DJ, radio people.
Mm-hmm.
So I do continual podcasts with them on our local stations. And, you know, I'm not looking to be the best or the smartest. I just would love it if people, when they thought about health and wellness, they thought of me. Whether I have an answer for them or not, you know, it's like I just staying in front of people. And, you know, talking to people, telling them kind of like what I'm doing with you right now, just why I'm doing what I'm doing, and, you know, all that good stuff. And if it's not right for them, they may know somebody.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I've talked about in past interviews, getting out from behind your computer is so important with health coaching, because when it comes down to it, it's this, it's right, this, right? It's the relationship. It's talking to somebody. It's really, really getting to know them as a person. We can't do that if you're all just always kind of just on your computer and just trying to figure out, because we have to get out from ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And put into practice what we you know, we all think, well, a lot of us, I know it was a common theme we spoke about in school, but it's like, don't be afraid that you don't know enough, you know, and I think a lot of us fall into that trap. I need to know more before I talk more. It's like, no, you know so much already. We know so much already. And, you know, we need to be kind of looked at as the go-to. And we can always keep learning and growing. Absolutely. I mean, that was a big decision I made this year was, am I going to go back to school for more? And I've got some things in mind. And, you know, my wise counsel, you know, said, make your own decision and we're here to support you. And I said, yes, I'm going back to school. I'm learning more. And then I'm a prayer, so I prayed on it. And, you know, just really felt in my spirit that it just wasn't the right time. Right now, my time was build your business, network, workshop. So that's what I'm doing. Right. I'm out there. I'm not in front of my computer just taking another online schooling, which I really want to do. But in the meantime, I can read and learn, and I've got resources if I need them.
Exactly. You hit a really, really good point in that networking and getting out there is actually going to propel your business forward much more quickly than being behind the computer or learning something more. Health coaches tend to get into that learning cycle. I've noticed that quite a bit, but I don't know enough, you know so much. You have no clue how much you know compared to, I mean, we're kind of in this health coach bubble. So we see other health coaches and we're like, but they know so much more. Yeah, but that client that's out there, that's in the real world, they don't know what you know.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. They don't.
Right. And other health and wellness practitioners don't know what you know.
Right.
As a health coach. And being out there and being able to put your feet to the pavement and really just connect with people, that's where the magic happens. That's where I've seen where the magic happens.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's interesting that when I have just simple everyday conversations with people, whether I'm at the gym or I'm just out and about, and I say something that you and I would think is very common knowledge, right? And they look at me like, oh my gosh, wow, you're so smart. And I'm like, not really in my mind, but I mean, but again, to the point that we know so much more, you know, than we give ourselves credit for, you know, so just standing on that confidence and, getting out there and just having conversations with people and seeing where it leads to.
Right. Exactly. And I just thought of a little story that just happened to me the other day. I homeschool my, now my daughter. I used to homeschool my son, but he's in college now. But we were at the homeschool co-op, and she was taking her Taekwondo class, and her Taekwondo instructor, which, they're in shape. They're like, they have to be in shape to do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
She comes out and she's like, Michelle, I have a question for you. And she's asking me, these different health and wellness questions. And I thought in my mind, she should know this already. But she didn't, But if I wasn't out there in that, in that environment, she would have never known who I was. And I think that's a key thing, is getting out there in your local community. There's a book called Acres of Diamonds. Have you ever read that book?
I have not, no.
Really tiny book. It's a really, really thin, tiny book. But it's about this gentleman that decides that, he lives on this land, and he's like, I'm going to go out and find my fortune. And he goes and he leaves for years and years and years and years, and comes back as an old man. And I'm just paraphrasing the whole book here. And someone buys the land from him and goes out and notices that, something isn't right with the animals, and he starts digging, and there's a whole diamond mine in their backyard. So it's just kind of giving us that little analogy that you just need to look in your own backyard. It's right. It's not this, sea somewhere out there, or even online world that, is a magical place. It's right in your own backyard.
Absolutely. I mean, there's neighbors all around us that need us.
Exactly.
They may not know that they need us yet, but they need us. And I think we are, as health coaches, becoming, somebody asked me the other day, actually, they said, oh my gosh, you're a health coach. That's a real thing. Because I've been looking at, IIN, and that's a real thing, huh? I said, yes, it's a real thing.
Right.
And doctors are recognizing us. Quick story I have is that we've got a local, it's called Rochester Lifestyle Medicine. So lifestyle medicine is kind of becoming, what we were taught, that your genes are the bullets in the gun, but your lifestyle and your environment pull the trigger. Mm-hmm. So there is a doctor here in Rochester, and he hosts a bunch of classes and workshops for folks if they want 12-week, comprehensive medical. So long story short, he's having a 3-week class at the hospital, and he's giving CEs for physicians and healthcare people. And he did open it up to the general public. Obviously, we don't need CE, but I went just to learn more. And he teaches whole food, plant-based eating, which ironically, that's how I eat. I wouldn't say I'm a full-fledged vegan, but I had to switch my eating to that. But anyway, you never know who you're going to meet, because 2 seats away from me didn't know he was a physician. He said, oh, you're a health coach. Wow, interesting. He goes, do you have a card on you? And so I later learned that he's an internal medicine physician, and he's taken a class. So I don't know where that'll end up. And kind of cool, because during the presentation, the doctor that was doing the presenting, back to we don't know enough, we really do know a lot. And we learned a lot at IIN. And he was talking about the 5 blue zones. He couldn't recall a few of them. And he's like, anybody? And I'm like, I know what they are. I'm like, it's just something simple like that. And then he kind of had a brain cloud on the red stuff that's in tomatoes, lycopene.
Right.
We know this stuff. And so we have to, get ourselves in those situations, and you never know what it's going to lead to.
Exactly.
So I kind of look like an expert just for saying lycopene.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You fill in those spots, and that's what we do as health coaches. We fill in, and we round out exactly what the other practitioners are working towards and working with, because they don't have the time like we do.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. So Lori, this has been an amazing conversation. I've absolutely
Yeah,
loved it. So
yeah,
how
me too.
can our listeners or our viewers, whichever platform that they're coming from, how can they get a hold of you and find out more about what you have going on, what you're doing?
Okay, well, my website, which is it's up, but it's currently because I'm being rebranded. It's a little under construction, but it's working just fine. It's www.balancedlife.life. My practice is called Balanced Life Health Coaching. You can visit my Facebook page and like it, Balanced Life Health Coaching. Friend me on Facebook, Lori Nolan, HC for health coach. My Gmail is lorinolanhc@gmail. So you can get to me any one of those ways. Find me on all the socials. I'm there.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And I'll make sure we have all of that in the show notes also.
Okay.
So people, health coaches, if you're listening, I know this is a health coach show. So, and for those of you that are listening in or watching that are not health coaches, you may be a practitioner, wellness practitioner. This is what we do. This is how we actually get into the community and make ourselves known one step at a time. I absolutely love how Lori has been able to take those steps in the short period of time that she's been out of IIN and actually started making it happen for herself, branding herself, making sure that she's getting out there in the community, is being known for what it is that she's doing, and just planting all those seeds along the way. So just take note of that. Please, 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 just take note of this. This has been an amazing conversation, and I would really encourage you to rewind, and replay this so that way you can pull a lot of the different nuggets that have come out of this whole conversation. And with that said, please like or subscribe to this show. Let me know what you've liked about this show so far. And if you would like to be part of the show, please reach out to me. I'm at healthcoachimpact@gmail.com. You can reach me there. You can get the show at Health Coach Impact on Facebook. And on YouTube, it's Health Coach Impact. It's soon to be a podcast, so if you're listening to this on podcast, like the show and leave me a rating on there. See so that way I can really see what it is that we can improve and make better, and what it is that you want to hear. What is it that you want to hear, and what do you want? Who do you want to hear from? I'd love to be able to hear your input. So anyways, everyone, I loved having you, Lori. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle.
And everyone out there in social media and podcast world, have an amazing day, and look forward to talking with you in the next episode. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.